Blessings. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Shalom to the sons of Yah this morning. This is Apostle Crystal Lee. I am ecstatic to be here with you this morning for 111 days of kinetic prayer. And we are here to identify what the Father is saying to us in this hour. He is positioning us for the annexation of dark dimensions. And this is kinetic prayer, y'all. We've talked about it already. So those of you who are following, if you're not aware of what kinetic prayer is, you're going to have to go back to the beginning. So we're not going to start over, okay? You're going to have to go back to the beginning so you can follow the course and identify what the Father is saying in this season to the sons of Yah. This is an amazing, amazing time that we're living in. I believe that we're living in the greatest time of mankind. And the Father saved the best for last. I'm just absolutely excited about it. Listen, welcome to all of those that are coming on. Welcome to those that will be hearing the replay. If you are in the room, I need you to like this video. I need you to like this video. I definitely see the difference between when the likes are shorter than the days before, how it kind of takes the numbers down just a little bit. We need to push this in the algorithm to a space where other people can hear it. People that would not naturally or normally come to this station are going to be able to hear the word that's being released on this channel because we take the time to like the video. It's a simple request. It's a simple task. And it's something that sons just need to do. We just need to do that. So whether you're watching by replay or not, I need you to make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you do that. While you're listening, while you're here, I need you to make sure that you do that. All right? All right. Blessings again to those that are on. I'm excited about this morning. I do want to pull up the video that I was sharing with you guys yesterday. I've got a lot to try to fit in here this morning. The Father was talking about a great many things between Sunday and today. So many things were discussed. And I'm just trying to put it all in perspective to be able to disseminate that information to you. One of the things that the Father talked to me about yesterday, he took me back to the conversation. And let me plug this up because I don't want to lose power here while I'm talking to you. We want to make sure that we have power, and somebody is knocking on the door in this moment. You guys give me 1 second because I'm going to have to put the music on and come right back. I need to see what's going on. All right, you guys give me 1 moment. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Let's get it cracking now. Let's get it moving. We are back. Thank you so much for taking the time to like the video. I needed that done so that we can move forward and make sure that we're, again, positioning ourselves. So one of the things that the Father began to discuss with me and was this, the children of this age being wiser than the children of light. Let me first start out by saying this. So let me preface it for those of you that are just coming on or coming in the room. We are in day 56 of prayer and day 50 of the fast. We just hit the 50 mark on the fast. Y'all know what time it is, right? At day 50, I've been discussing with you the fact that we need to make sure that we're identifying what the Father is saying at that half mark. If you've been following the protocol, if you've been walking this thing out, then you understand that you're going to need to begin to make some shifts, some changes, right? I'm not saying that we're off of the fast. We are still fasting, but you need to identify beyond the 11 to 3 window what the Father is saying for you to do in the fasting space. Because now you're no longer at the milk stage, you should be at the meat stage. In other words, something mature, something solid. You don't give babies solid food because they can't chew it. They can't process that. It has to be blended. It has to be pureed. The Father is saying, I need you to bite into something a little more challenging because now you have the teeth to do it. So if you've been following the protocol, you're going to begin to hear him direct you to something a little more advanced. And why am I saying this to you? Because oftentimes people are training their flesh, but they're not training their spirit. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. The Bible talks about your spiritual senses being trained to know the difference. You have to be able to make a difference between things. It's not just what you're hearing or seeing naturally. If your spirit has been trained, your senses, your spiritual senses have been trained, then you're able to differentiate between things. You're able to identify things. You know when it's you talking and when it's the Father speaking. You know when it's something else speaking to you and it's not the Father. And you'll be able to make a difference. And in that difference that's being made, you'll be able to make decisions that produce outcomes that you're looking for. But if you are not able to make that difference, you may make the wrong decision and therefore get the wrong outcome. Everything about our life is about output and input. It's about output and input. It's a simple thing, but it's an invisible space. So we are on expectancy versus acceptance still. This is part 7. And we're still subtitled The Invincibility of Your Invisibility. But the other part of this is the children of this age. I wanted to preface that in the title because we're going to be speaking from that perspective. Okay? We deal in the visible. And the Father's saying that's the wrong realm to deal in. You're only dealing in the visible because you've manifested it, not just because you're accepting something outside of you. You've got to identify what the Father is saying. And what he's saying is not always visible. It's not always from the visible realm. It's not clearly seen, in other words, by everybody. Even if he uses something in nature, even if he uses anything that is tangible, he's expressing his invisible nature to you. So you're still dealing in the realm of invisibility, but you have to accept in order to expect. This is what we've been talking about. You have to accept a thing, and what you accept is what you're going to expect. Whatever it is you're accepting of, you're going to expect that. You can't change that process. It's a natural law. It has a natural flow to it. It is this, and if it's this, then it's that. It's not, okay, I'm going to accept something that's not the thing to accept and then expect something else. We can't do it that way. So I'm going to read through it again because I believe that this is the Father's will. So let me go back. I had to backtrack just for a minute, but we're going to go to the children of this age in this moment and right after this. As the sons of Yah, it's imperative that we do not underestimate the formidable powers of invincibility and invisibility. And we know that invincibility is the inability for something to conquer you. Invincibility means I am unconquerable. And we know that the word of Yah says that we are more than conquerors. In other words, we're not just conquerors, we are more than that. So invincibility is a nature of a son. It's the activity. It's how we operate as sons of Yah. The eternal nature that resides within these concealed qualities form the bedrock of our existence, the original fragrance of our being. We must refuse to succumb to the blarring call to function on the premise of the visible. He got something to say this morning because I'm getting a tickle in my throat. Had to drink me some water. That's not even a normal morning feeling for me. So, instinctive and natural sensory aspects of life, for it is within this limited realm. Talking about that limited realm of hearing the blaring call to function on the premise of just what we see and how we are instinctively moved and how our natural sensory directs us to things. It's in that realm that we often find ourselves ensnared. It's a trap. That's the place of the trap for a son of Yah, because we are spiritual beings living in physical vehicles, physical bodies. Blessings, Elder Vicky. Physical bodies, okay? But if we get trapped in the physical realm and don't understand the invisibility that we need to do our transactions from, because you know, prayer is an invisible place. You do know that, right? When you are taking the time to pray, you're praying to a God that you don't even see. The only way you see him is when he responds to you or when he places something in your environment to show forth his invisible nature, his nature. He makes his nature visible to you through the things that he shows and communicates to you. It's a place that we often not trained in and not talking about. This is why people get trapped and ensnared in that limited realm called visibility. Within us, Yah creates a habitation, a secondary headquarters. Man, I believe if we catch a hold of this right here, something absolutely phenomenal is going to happen in your space if you ever catch this right here. That the Father simultaneously resides on the throne of our heart and in the heavenly throne. Simultaneously. Well, how does he do that? Because he's God. And see, you remember I have talked to you guys about how the Father makes contact and how he is able to function in the earth realm because he doesn't break his own laws. He said, listen, if you want to operate in the earth, you need a body to do it. Well, he's a spirit, right? So he needs a body. So are these diabolic spirits looking for the same thing. They're looking for a base of operation. And the only way they can identify, the only way any spirit can identify a base of operation is by what the conversation is and the acceptance is that creates a covenant. Okay? So when we look at the tabernacle in the wilderness and that conversation that the Father has with Moshe to order everything specifically, to create it this way. This is the blueprint for every article, for everything that's in the tabernacle. These are the divisions of that tabernacle. And in the space, these are the pieces of furniture that are going to go there, even down to the Ark of the Covenant with the cherubim over it and the mercy seat there. This is the place that he resides. He simultaneously operated from the throne to this space called the mercy seat. This is why we saw the tangible presence of a cloud by day and fire by night. Why? Because his tangible presence was represented there because there was something in the earth that he was able to make contact with because he follows after his word to perform it. Words are invisible, yet they take on visible form. Words are invisible, yet they create something because it comes from faith. that creates the substance of the thing that we are hoping for or that we are speaking. The spirit realm doesn't have, it doesn't make a distinction between how you feel. It doesn't have any bearings on and no respect for whether you meant what you said. It doesn't have any respect for any of that. It only deals with what is released. And once we understand that we are speaking spirits, and this is how the Father designed us to be speaking spirits, then we will begin to grasp the nature of the Father and understand the importance and the value of what we say. How about what we house? Because what we house is what's going to come from us. It's going to flow from us. What's in the house, I'm talking about your physical edifice. What's in the house is what's going to flow from the house. You know, people that live in a house, don't no stranger come out of their house in the morning when they're going where they're going. They come out of that house because they live in the house. And so this is important to understand that he simultaneously makes his abode in the heavens and in the hearts of men. He can do that because where his word is where he resides. Where his word is where he resides. It says that he creates this a habitation, a secondary headquarters. I love when he said that to me. A secondary headquarters. His access point is his image. Put it in the room again. His access point is his image. He created mankind in his image and after his likeness. Image meaning spirit, likeness dealing with genetics, image and likeness. His access point is his image and likeness. Him aligning with his word in us to follow after it and perform it according to the power that's allowed to work. We know that that is Holy Spirit, right? According to the power that worketh in you. If it ain't working, then there's nothing coming of it. There has to be a power that's working in you in order for something to be produced. And every seed produces after its own kind. Everything produces after its own kind. That's why the Father said, don't quench my spirit. That is the actual transformer. It's the transforming power source that you're going to need to be all that I've called you to be, for you to make contact with what I'm saying, for you to be connected to who I am. We've been discussing some intriguing concepts of expectancy versus acceptance. Herein lies the revelation for manifestation. It's in this contrast between expectancy and acceptance that we identify the government of supernatural operations for the unseen to be made material in our natural realm. Let me share this with you really quickly. I was given a task just yesterday. I had to finish something. I had to complete something for something that I'm doing. He is omnipotent and omnipresent, Elder. Thank you so much for putting that in the room. Blessings to you, Prophet Marlise. And so as I was going through that process that he connected me to this thing, and I'm going through the process. And as I'm going through the process, I'm listening to what is being said. And I'm listening to the disconnection of who the Father is in this thing. I'm saying, oh, this is really disconnected. Now, most people that say they are believers would say, oh, I got to turn this off because, I'm going to turn this off. Here's the thing. You have to be able to be mature enough to hear some things because of this fact. How the children of this age are operating. They're getting results, first of all. But they're partially utilizing the laws of Yah. Okay? They're partially utilizing his laws. They're using his laws, but they're attributing the use of those laws to something else or someone else. They don't know that's what they're doing, but are. But they like to try to throw him in at the end of it, But God, there are many. So if you just say God, we don't know. We don't know who you're talking about because there are many gods. All right. But they're getting results. And this is the key here. The Father said, listen to it. I already knew before I tuned into it what to expect because I already know who I'm dealing with. And I already know the spirit of the thing. that's being dealt with, right? So as I'm listening, I'm like, okay, wow. But what it did when I listened to it is it took me back to a space that the Father took me to before. He said, you lost this space. He said, I need you to go back to it. He said, look at what they're doing. He said, do you see what they're doing? They're utilizing something that I gave you. When I say me, this might be even you. They're utilizing something that was given to the sons, and they're using it in a space where it's being twisted and it's being convoluted, but they're still getting results. Because the law of the thing is what works. Again, the spirit realm does not make a determination on what spirit you're operating by. It doesn't make a determination. It doesn't distinguish between. It just deals with what's being released. It's dealing with the command that's being released. Okay, so let's go back to Moshe for a minute. In Pharaoh's court. Let's go back to Moshe for a minute, dealing with the great house. That's Pharaoh. His name means great house. He goes in there at the command of Yah. He takes in there this staff, which is a mark of his authority. The staff is a mark of authority. It details and defines that one has authority in a realm. He goes in there and he declares the first thing first. And I'm going to declare this morning the way that the Father gave me to declare it 7 or 8 or 10 years ago. He said, release the remnant. I don't know. It might have been 7 or 8 years ago at this point. Elder, tell me if you remember. Release the remnant was the cry that he gave me, right? Moshe goes into Pharaoh's court and he says, let my people go. This is what the Father is saying. Let my people go. That's why we have dealt with this mass exodus over the last 5 or 6 years. Let my people go is the cry of the deliverers in the earth concerning the people of Yah. Says, let my people go. So he first declares what the cry is. He declares the verdict. He makes the declaration so that as a king, it is understood that a decree has already been written concerning this, and it will not be rescinded. Okay? He says this, and then he begins to contend with those in Pharaoh's court, the magicians, the magi. The reason why a lot of people are afraid of witches and warlocks, and they are so skittish and even superstitious, because people will lend themselves to superstition before they lend themselves to divine supernaturality. They will lend themselves to spiritual superstition before they lend themselves to divine supernaturality, because divine supernaturality is a responsibility. You have to be intentional about that, but you could just be superstitious because I'm just hearing what's being said and I'm repeating what's being said. And I just, this is just what it's always been. This is what we do, right? But he's in this court. He's been given this staff. And this staff was something that he had because he was a shepherd. Listen to what I'm saying. And the Father took his authority as a shepherd naturally to make him a shepherd spiritually. He turned this staff into something supernatural. It was no longer just a stick. This is what happens when we deal with Yah in the invisible realm of prayer, in the invisible realm of intercession, in the invisible realm. When we begin to understand that invisible realm, then we begin to annex dark dimensions. We begin to take territory, the territory of darkness. Understand, scriptures like the wealth of the sinner being laid up for the just. You need to be able to understand spiritual and eternal matters before you can even acquisition that thing that's been laid up. You can't access it. You have no ability to access the thing that you don't first know what it is. It has to be defined, and then it has to be accepted in order for you to have an expectation of any kind, because you're going to need to know what you need to do with what you're seeing. How are you accepting this? Are you accepting this as an overwhelming thing that is impossible for you to overcome, children of Israel? Or are you accepting this as a thing and you see that the Father has said, go up at once, that you understand that it is time to acquisition the territory. It's time for me to annex, for me to take and add territory to myself. for the kingdom of Yah. Elder, let me share this with you because you are one that is on that's been with me for many, many years. The thing that we were praying 7, 8 years ago, it may be more. I don't know. I've stopped counting. I'm thinking at least 7 or 8 years. That whole sheet of things, the prayer points that we were covering every week, that prayer point list is being fulfilled in this season. We are now entering the season of the fulfillment of that, and you guys will be more aware of it as you see some things that are happening. This is why I was telling the people that were connected in another season, hold your space. They were so excited in the moment. I said, I understand that. But I know people get excited in the moment and then they lose their space because they are in flesh. They are excited because it's something different. They're excited because it's something new. They're hearing something they never heard before. So what their mindset is that I want to come in, I want to hear it, I want to acquisition it, and I want to take it back so I can pretend that I came up with it. Here's the thing. It's a dangerous place. We saw that and we brought that up yesterday about Nadab and Abihu, Aaron's sons. They wanted to recreate the glory. Let me tell you something. You got to be in the right space at the right time. You got to follow the protocol. You got to follow the rule that the Father has established. We want to follow men's rules readily, but we don't understand that the following of Yah's instruction is paramount to the promised place. And you cannot expect to get to a place of promise following every rule but his. Can't expect it. Cannot expect it. Let's go here. The children of this age are wiser than the children of light. If you're in this room, I need you to like the video. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming in the room. I see there are more people coming in. The children of this age, they are using the laws. There are laws. There are laws that just naturally work. Yeah, they are spiritual laws. They're invisible, but they naturally work. They are natural laws that the Father put in place. Prophet Marlies, you want to say anything before I dive further into this?
Yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, you know, the Lord will accomplish his mission regardless of who is not available or who
Yeah.
is available.
My God.
Even the ones that are willing to use part of, half of, a quarter of
Mm.
God's word, he will accomplish something through that.
Yeah.
He's going to get out the purpose, even if it's nothing but providing an example in the earth for the
Mm-hmm.
sons of Yah. And in this case, there is no excuse. You don't even have to have all of the things that they say that you're supposed to have in order to spread the good news. All you need is the good news. And if you only know one chapter, give that one chapter. But we make the excuses. We give limitations of why. But we have the other side that knows, hey, let me grab this because it's good. And they get the manifestation of what they're asking for, what they're preaching about, whatever it is.
Mm.
Because for with God, nothing shall be impossible. Even though they're using a fragment and they're taking that and running with it. They're running in faith. Faith is not predicated just for the sons of Yah. Faith is for any and every one. It's available. It is waiting for activation. It's waiting for growth. Because faith without works is what? Dead.
Absolutely.
So
Faith
yeah,
is
we
for
have to be mindful of, have to truly be mindful of those things.
absolutely, Prophet. It's good. Faith
And stop
is
putting no limits on that.
faith is for manifestation. That's it. We can't
That's it.
limit. It's not about the limitations. It's about the manifestation. And faith is for substance creation. When you were talking, the Father said, y'all needed a body to acquisition of things that needed to be turned over to the sons of this age. So he'll use darkness to gather the spoils for the sons. He'll use them. That's what, listen, hidden treasures in dark places. That means in secret places, in places that nobody knows about. And what is the Father doing in this season? He's revealing the thing that was hidden. Things are being uncovered in the earth. Things that were hidden, things that were kept from mankind, they're being uncovered. Our adversaries are being exposed. Truth is being revealed and the lie is being uncovered. You understand what I'm saying? So if he needs to use somebody to acquisition it, he says, okay, like Prophet said, he's showing an example. He says, okay, this is an example of how this is done. And people look at them and say, oh, look at them. Yeah, they are wicked. But guess what? They are acquisitioning. It's the same thing I was starting to tell you about, that this thing that the Father brought me to. He said, listen, now there's somebody that the Father is connected to me in this season. And what you don't understand is that he said, you got to make friends with unrighteous mammon. Now that's a whole conversation. I want y'all to go and take that. I'm going to give you just a little bit of that, what that means, right? When you understand mammon is not money, okay? It's those that, it's that thing that is positioned to contend. It's the thing that's positioned to contend with your faith. It's positioned. Now, how do you become friends with something that's positioned to contend? You got to keep it close to you. You know, the people say you keep your enemies, you keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies closer. You got to identify and know what's going on. And see, a lot of people don't know what's going on. So because they don't know what's going on, they don't position themselves to be seen or to be visible. Here's the thing. The positioning of a son to be seen or visible is such a powerful place. The Father positioned me to be seen or visible by people that don't even believe exactly what I believe. But they have acquisitioned the thing that I've been researching for 17 years. And you know what they saw when they saw me? You the one. You're the one. You're the one I've been looking for. I need to give you something. Right? This parable of the unrighteous steward details something so powerful. He kept those people that he was supposed to be accessing something from close. He had a number for them. He had access to them. Now, he didn't do his job properly because he was giving everybody a pass. And I ain't going to go into that today, okay? Just giving everything a pass, right? But when he was released, when the person that was over that business said, you're fired, it was because he didn't do what he was supposed to do, okay? But then he thought about some things. He said, no, I got contacts. Wait a minute. Let me go back through my contacts. Let me go back through my connections. Because he didn't blow it when he called these people. He wasn't blowing their phone up, talking bad to them, talking nasty to them. This is what make friends with unrighteous mammon is connected to. He wasn't talking crazy. right? Now he could call back and say, hey, listen, let me ask you a question. What do you owe? Oh, I owe 500. Okay, can you pay 10% of that? And understand, the master or the owner of the business now is getting ready to see, oh, he's doing something. He's taking us somewhere. Hold on. I got to just kind of plant my feet for a minute. I don't know if you're tracking with me. If you're tracking with me, you're already there. Now, the owner that's given him the responsibility to acquisition a thing, he said you're fired. However, he's beginning to see some things coming in. And as he's seeing the things come in, he's saying, wait a minute. You're doing something, huh? You going after it now, huh? You're producing something now. Wait a minute. Because think about this. If the man had thousands of customers, I'm just using a scenario, and the man only collected 10% every week, the man was in profit. Are you listening to me? Y'all can only be in profit concerning you the moment you start to acquisition the thing that he told you to, even if it's 10%. Maybe you haven't come into 100% of the thing yet, but even if it's in increments, like he's saying, like, produce something. I need you to do something. Because if I don't see any production from you, then I'm deeming you unprofitable. And what did he say? What did the master say that owned the field, the vineyard? He said to the husbandman that was handling the vineyard, he said, this tree has been in this vineyard for 3 years and it ain't produced a thing. Get rid of it. Why should it take up the nutrients of the ground? Why should it take up the space in the vineyard? Why should it be a recipient of any attention when it's not bearing anything? Come on now. When it's not bearing, it's not profitable, it's not fruitful. Kill it. Pull it up. And just like the good master does with us, says, wait a minute, Father. Wait a minute. I'm going to dig around it. Yeah. Give me just a minute. I know that it's been 3 years and it hasn't bore anything. You haven't seen anything, but I'm going to dig around this thing. And I'm going to put some manure and some nutrients and some, I'm put some things in the life of this plant, the manure. I'm going to put the manure around it. I'm going to dig around it. I'm going to cut some branches. I'm going to prune it. I'm going to do some things. You got to understand your process is to bring you into great production. It's not to kill you. How dare you be the tree that's sitting in the middle of the vineyard, not producing, and then be frustrated when the Father begins to cut on you, when he begins to dig around you, when he begins to lay the mess down in your life for you to produce something. My God. That is that wilderness space. Somebody said something to me Sunday. They said, I know you used to having stuff. I know you're absolutely right. But the Father will allow us to process through some places just for us to remember. I told y'all, that's a key word in this time. Remember. He told the children of Israel, he said, remember when you were a slave in Egypt, you were a stranger in a space. Before you were the slave, you were a stranger in a space. He said, remember, because how you treat people, you need to remember where you were and what you processed through, because how you treat them should be how you should have been treated, not how people treated you. So I'll take you through this space so that you remember, because when the stranger is coming and is added to you, I don't want you to be like, oh, they not our kind. Oh, they ain't got nothing. Oh, they not this. Oh, they not that. Look at Acts. What did they do in Acts? What was the thing? He said that the people came and laid at the apostles' feet the things that the others had need of, and they distributed. I'm telling you, I'm so excited about what the Father is doing right now. I'm so excited, Elder, about this the storehouse and the distribution center and being that that lending institution. The Father is positioning us in this very hour as I'm speaking to you. The information is moving through the mail to get to the destination. Are you hearing me? Oh, this thing is serious for me right now, because we've been praying into some things for years. And the Father said this yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. He said, I purposefully hid some things from you to let you walk through a process, not because you had done something so terrible. Sometimes you guys are thinking, I'm going through a process because I'm so terrible or I've done something so wrong. He said, no, I want to prepare you to be the right person for the right place that I'm taking you to. And I don't want there to be any, now there's nothing in me. Like, I've housed people before. My entire adult life, I've housed people throughout that time. Even, homeless people staying in my basement. The lady that cleaned my house at one point, staying in my studio, in the live room. She and her son stayed in the live room for a season. You understand what I'm saying? When I moved to St. Louis, I had two different people. One of them was a woman with two children, and the other one was a young girl. Lived in my house from another state. One of them came from Indiana, and the other one, I don't remember where she came from. I feel like she came from Ohio or something, or Kentucky or something like that. But they saw me online. They communicated with me online because I was ministering online, and they began to discuss some things about their need and blah, blah, blah. And the Father said, they can come. They asked, can I come to where you are? I said, you can come. They said, well, what do I need to bring? I said, nothing. You can come. So I understand that. So at first I'm questioning, like, Father, did I do anything wrong? I know how to do this, that, and the other. He said, yep. He said, this is what I want from you. He said, I want you to remember. Because where I'm taking you is going to be easy for you to forget if you're not careful. Where I'm about to take you. Now, I know you've had some stuff and lost some stuff. I know you've had more than most people have had and lost it several times. He said, but where I'm about to take you, I need to take you through this process. Because where I'm taking you, it would be easy for you to forget if you're not careful. So I'm going to take you through a thing that leaves a mark. It's going to leave a little scar. Yeah, from the wounds. It's going to leave a little scar from the things that you had to process through, from the people that you had to deal with. It's going to leave a little scar. But every time you rub your hand across that scar, you're going to remember. It's not going to be something that's going to mar you. It's not going to mar you. Not going to deface you, but it's going to be something that you can feel and be like, oh, yeah, I remember where I was. I remember what he took me through. I remember. I remember. The parable of the unrighteous steward. I knew we weren't going to get through all of this, but this is what I want to do. I want to stop for a minute. I want y'all to read Luke chapter 16. That's what we're going to do. Because I always feel like I got to give you the whole thing. I'm going to give you the parts that you need to connect the whole thing. You go do the work. Luke chapter 16, go read it. I want you to really consume that space and understand what's taking place in the transaction. Everything in life is transactional. Everything is transactional. Something is being given even when not a whole lot is had. What I do have, I'm giving it. What you do have, you're giving. It's like the woman that had the mite. All of those people made all that sound in that receptacle that received the coins. And you could just hear the flushing of coins by the rich people. And then that one mite goes in and it kind of spins around the top of the, you know what I'm saying? They go down in there, one. And the master said, she's done more than everybody that came through here. I want to pull up this video. Prophet Marlise, you can share as I pull up this video, because I also want to take some space to pray this morning. I want to be very intentional about some prayer points this morning, because it's going to take us some time to get through here. Okay? It's going to take us some time to get through here. But go ahead and open up your line and just share based on what I've said. Share some of the things, reinforce some of those things. And if you want to make some declarations concerning some of those things, I want you to feel free now. When this video comes up, then we're going to pull back so that we can see the video, okay?
Amen. Praise God. Well, one thing I keep hearing and I keep seeing in what you're saying is like the scripture that says, faith of a mustard seed. What I keep hearing is the boldness of Yah, the courage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I keep hearing intent.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep hearing these things because these are the things that everyone else is doing. They're using. They're respecting. They're respecting
The laws.
principles, the laws. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even in its fraction, even in but a fraction of it, they respect it.
Yeah.
They move with it.
Mm.
They're encouraged. And there is no limit because they know that the scriptures give you the keys to unlock unlimitless power. Unlimitless.
Limitless. Limitless power. Yes. My God.
And I go back to that same scripture again.
Mm-hmm.
For with God, nothing shall be impossible
With him. Mm-hmm.
with him.
Yeah.
So when they take the scripture, even in the fraction, they are in agreement.
Even if it's for the wrong purposes, they're in agreement.
That's
They're going
it.
to utilize the principle and get the result.
And get the result.
Yeah.
So I pose the question, how many times you have failed to have the faith, even in a fraction of what God has given you, to be able to put it to use in the earth
To
for the
see,
kingdom,
to see it produce something.
to see it manifest.
Hmm. My God.
Even the fraction
Hmm.
with intent,
With
with the
divine intent.
boldness. Yes, divine intent.
How much more with divine intent? This is what he said. Now, if I'll do that, if my law releases that, understand this. If my law releases that for people that are twisting something, see, we think, oh well, why they getting something and I'm not? Because you ain't on nothing. You ain't on nothing. You on religion. You ain't on nothing. You don't even understand spiritual things. You're not on nothing. You're on religion. You're on ritual. When you get on something, then you're going to see something. When you get on something, like you really get up on it, then you're going to be able to manifest something.
Mm-hmm.
But you ain't on nothing. They
Apostle.
are intentionally making space, taking something that is conscious, making sure it's stored in the subconscious so that even when they're not consciously thinking about it, it's manifesting outwardly. You ever been in the mind of, okay, well, maybe you're looking for a car, right? And you got your mind set on this car that you want, that you like. And all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. Do you know that's a law that's being operated? That's a spiritual law. Because you are intentionally, your mind is intentionally set on something and now it's being seen all around you. But can you take it from the scene all around you to be sitting in the seat?
Mm-hmm.
Because you already manifested the first part of it. But can you go beyond that?
My Lord.
Or do you stop at, oh, I like this car, I've been thinking about this car. Now I'm seeing it everywhere. You're so excited about that. You don't even understand that you just produced something. That you just created a situation that puts you in a space where you constantly see your vision. A vision of something you said that you wanted. But we overlook these small things. They're just flukes. You understand what I'm saying? I'm looking at all of these spaces where the Father's turning rivers, deserts into rivers, and rivers into deserts. You gotta. I'm looking at particularly all these spaces that are now being re-established as flourishing spaces that were desert spaces. And this is why I got to show you this video. I'm going to show it to you from the beginning to the end today, because I want you to see it. I might go back. I might go like somewhere to the middle of it, because we kind of saw a little bit of it yesterday. So maybe I'll go to the middle of it. But one of the points that I want to make with you here is that everything that we see was first in the mind of a man before it was in the land. It began in the mind as a matter. And then it became substance because of the faith. And then they begin to put their hands to a thing. If you go back and look at pictures of Dubai, I want you to think about that like the place where Yitzhak was. Because the place where Yitzhak wound up, those wells had dried up, and it was a dry place. And he thought he was going to need to do the same thing that his father did, which was go to Egypt, because there was a famine. And the father said, you're not going to Egypt. You're going to plant right here in the dry place. Well, how can I do that? I'm going to show you one of the ways, an ancient way that Yitzhak was able to do this. And then I'm also going to tell you that I believe that Yitzhak, the reason why Yitzhak had to unearth the wells was because he needed to create a watering system. Something comes out of these areas where we are in the dry place. I'm going to tell you, I was in a dry place in St. Louis towards the end of my stay there, and the Father began to talk to me. I said something like 2 years before this thing happened. I said, I'm going to make soap one day. So I had a friend that made soap. I never knew her recipes. She really wasn't. She was a neighbor. And we were cool, but, I didn't know her stuff like that. I'd been in her space before, and I said to myself, I'm going to make soap. Now, what made me say I wanted to make soap one day was because her soap smelled good, and it was natural, but it didn't clean well. And I said, you know what? It's nice and all, but I'm going to make soap one day. I didn't go through the whole process of the thought and all of that. It just happened that it came out of my mouth. I was one day coming out of the bathroom, and it just came out of my mouth. 2 years later, I'm in this space where I'm being transitioned from St. Louis. I'm on my way to Alabama because the Father said, you're going to Alabama. And he's downloading or uploading at this point something in me that I didn't know was in me. I begin to have these recipes. He's taking me, and I'm writing them down as he's talking. Never made soap in my life. Never even seen the process of it. Okay, so I don't even know the scientific process of how this is actually supposed to happen. And he's giving me recipes, and he's giving me a concept, and he's giving me this idea. This is when the thing begins to break forth. It doesn't just break forth in a space that's already flourishing. It breaks forth because you've been pushed into a space that now you have to produce something. You hear what I'm saying? That thing was birthed in a hotel room in Illinois. I stopped at a place in Illinois of somebody that we knew from online. They were like, come by here when you're going through. Stopped there, stayed there for a week or two. And while I was there, the Holy Spirit said, ask them, can you borrow a couple of utensils? I asked, she said, yes. I went to the store, took my last $100 that I had. I didn't use it for my gas tank. I took the last $100 that I had and went and bought the supplies to make the first two landmark soaps that I made. He gave me this big white box that was kind of like a flap thing. It flaps, the little things slide in the little things in the front. Then you take the flap up and you open. Beautiful white box. I still don't know where I got the box from. But I lined those soaps up in there after I had taken photos. I used some of her design sheets and embroidered stuff to create in boxes to create a backdrop and an element for the pictures that I took. I still have those pictures. I might put those up for you guys tomorrow. And I traveled from Illinois to Alabama with that soap, and I sold that soap to everybody I came in contact with. They bought that soap from my hand to their hand. No explanation, no ingredient list, no wrapping, no nothing. I had a friend that also gave money while we were en route, but the other part of what we needed as far as eating and all of that came from me selling this soap out of my hand to the hand of people. Do you hear what I said? I sold it when I went in restaurants. I sold it when I went to the gas station. And when I arrived in Alabama, I began to look at places. Oh, I'm going to go into that car dealership and sell some soap. Oh, I'm going to go over there and sell some soap. And that's exactly what I did, to the tune of being in the hotel room, paying for the hotel room every day with the sales of soap and buying the rest of the equipment needed to make bigger production. And now I'm getting ready to label this. Now I'm about to put the graphic on it. I'm about to wrap it and I'm about to do all of this. And then now I'm about to be at this flea market selling it every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now I'm about to go into the dough. Then I'm about to go to the fairs and festivals. That's what I did. And meet all these people from all over the world that would be my customers. You understand what I'm saying? That came from me being in a pressed place. I know what I produce when I'm pressed. I haven't forgotten. I'm about to play this video for y'all.
It's the largest hot desert in the world, with an average temperature of 30 degrees. Daily temperatures can rise to well over 50 degrees Celsius and can drop considerably at night, making this one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. The Sahara Desert is considered a hyper-arid environment and only receives 1 inch of rainfall per year. Little can survive here except for a few succulents that are able to hold water. There are also some birds, mammals and reptiles living in these harsh conditions. However, they struggle to survive due to long periods of extreme drought. Only a few thousand years ago, the Sahara Desert is said to have been a lot wetter. Scientists have claimed it was a lush tropical forest full of biodiversity, which began to decline as the climate became a lot drier. Scientists suggest that this was caused by the tilt of the Earth's axis, combined with intensive agriculture and hunting on these very fertile plains. The result has caused huge land loss for supporting human life and natural biodiversity. The Sahara Desert spans across nearly all of North Africa. It measures approximately 9.2 million kilometers squared, covers 8% of the world's landmass, and is comparable to China or the USA in size. The Sahara is bordered in the west by the Atlantic Ocean, in the north by the Atlantis Mountains and the Mediterranean Sea, in the east by the Red Sea, and in the south by the Sahel. The Sahel forms a transitional zone between the Sahara to the north and a belt of humid savannas to the south. In the semi-arid region of the Sahel, the advancement of the Sahara Desert continues to be a threat due to unsustainable land management, overgrazing and droughts. These transitional zones between the desert and the semi-arid environments are fragile ecosystems, which people depend upon for survival. It is in these zones the advance of the desert needs to be stopped and reversed. The country of Burkina Faso in the African Sahara region has been making some astonishing agricultural developments, turning large areas suffering from desertification into agricultural farms. In Burkina Faso, tens of thousands of hectares of land have been restored, with over 20 million people benefiting from the improved use of land. This transformation could be called a major accomplishment for a country that only receives an average of 23 inches of rainfall a year, which continues to be sporadic and declining. In today's video, we're going to tell you how or why Burkina Faso is turning its deserts into huge farmlands. So stick with us and let's dive into today's video. Burkina Faso is a landlocked country in the Sahel region. 1/3 of its landscape is degraded, and over 9 million hectares of land that were once used for agriculture cannot be used anymore. It is projected that degradation will continue to expand at 360,000 hectares per year. If the situation is not reversed, existing forests are also at risk of being cleared to make way for productive agricultural land. Burkina's economy is based mainly on agriculture, which provides for livelihoods for 80% of the population. Their lives have been impacted by degraded soils, recurrent droughts, deforestation, and desertification. Over the past 4 decades, Burkina has experienced frequent extremes of climate. The drought in the 1970s caused a serious famine, which caused numerous lives and many livestock losses. Over the decades, Burkina's desert areas have been spreading in a process known as desertification. However, one African man, who is known as the man who stopped the desert, went against all the odds and started to transform the desert into a lush forest and productive agricultural land by using a simple and low-cost traditional technique which had almost been completely forgotten. At first he was considered a madman by his community, but now his method has been used throughout the Sahara region. The special technique has been modernized and revolutionized, using new technology that is transforming millions of people's lives, making the desert green again. Yakuba Saudogo is an indigenous African farmer who lives in the region of northern Burkina Faso, which was most affected by the famine of the 1970s and 80s. Whilst many people from his community decided to migrate due to the crisis, Yakuba decided to take it upon himself to stop the desert. Without any modern machinery or monetary funding, Yakuba revitalized the ancient farming technique called VII, which led to forest growth and increased soil quality. In the beginning, the people from his community were skeptical. However, Yakuba kept on working on this 40-hectare piece of abandoned and barren land. He planted many types of trees and bushes, which have now become a rich biodiverse forest of 60 species of trees that provide fruits and nuts for his family and the wildlife that live there. Yakuba's forest is considered to be the most diverse forest planted and managed by any farmer in the Sahel, and scientists have claimed that his work has done much more than any national or international research combined. The VII method quickly began to spread because of its incredible results. It's a simple and low-cost method involving using a shovel or axe to break up the ground and dig small holes that are half-moon shape, which are then filled with compost and planted with seeds of trees or local grains such as millet or sorghum. The holes or pits create contours which catch water during the rainy season and stop rainwater runoff, thereby improving water infiltration, keeping the soil moist for longer. This creates favourable microclimate conditions, allowing for seedlings to flourish. Yakuba is always eager to share this ancient knowledge and has trained thousands of visitors from his region and beyond, empowering farmers to regenerate their land. As a result, tens of thousands of hectares of degraded land have been restored to productivity in Burkina Faso, helping over 20 million people. And with the help of new technological advancements, they have been able to accelerate this technique, which does require a lot of manual labour. A machine has been invented and created called the Delfino plough, which creates large half-moon catchments ready for planting seeds, boosting rainwater harvesting tenfold and making soil more permeable for planting than the traditional and back-breaking method of digging by hand, especially at scale. Once an area is ploughed, the seeds of woody and herbaceous native species are then sown directly. These species are very resilient and work well in degraded land, providing vegetation cover and improving productivity for previously barren areas. The Delfino plough is also extremely efficient, covering 50 to 20 hectares in a day, compared to one farmer using half an irrigation ditches by hand, who can cover only a hectare a day. By adapting the VII technique, the people of Burkina Faso have become more food secure, and by planting trees and food crops together, they are enriching the soil, saving it from degradation. This type of agriculture has been termed central farming, which is a natural process in creating agro-ecosystems, also known as food forests, which in the long term are more sustainable for rising human populations across the world. By creating a biodiverse ecosystem of trees and bushes that hold the soil together and store water for longer within it, we attract beneficial insects and reduce pests. We also solve the issues surrounding the ever-changing climate, water resource management, desertification, famine and poverty. Instead of felling trees for large monoculture farms where soil is degraded over time from overtilling and pesticide use, which increases desertification, wastes water and increases famine and poverty in the long run. Thanks to Yakuba bringing back the traditional method of VII, a national low-cost way to increase biodiversity which was almost completely forgotten, the people of Burkina Faso have been able to transform their lives for the better. This method has now spread to neighbouring countries, benefiting millions of people who live around the Sahara Desert, one of the most harshest environments in the world.
Thanks for watching Leaf of Life.
I want you to understand it, the phrase, what they were able to create without, right? We are often looking for what we can create with something, but what can you create without? Without the tools that you think you need, without the stuff that you think you're supposed to have in order to do it. Without that, what do you possess that you can create with? Father, we give you praise this morning. I know you said, well, I thought you said we were going to pray. Well, see, when you begin to understand the nature of prayer and you begin to understand the nature and the authority of your words, you begin to bring the invisible into the visible realm, and it don't take you a lot of time, especially when you've already spent time, right? So, Father, we just give you praise and glory this morning. We thank you for true identity this morning. We thank you for understanding. We thank you for clarity. We thank you for who you are. We thank you for keys this morning. One of those keys being our identity that unlocks the divine strategy of who we are in you and who you are in us. That determines what we will do. The kingdom keys of unity, faith, and works. Father, that we are assuming the position and that we are available, not just that we are able, but we are available for the assignment. And it is our honor to become daily what you have desired us to be from the beginning. We honor you this morning for who you are and for what you've already done. And we declare this morning, we decree this morning, that the thing that you have spoken from the heavens that is already written in the book of remembrance, Father, that we will begin to identify what you have already spoken and what you have said concerning us to activate that word. We're going to activate this morning. The power of your pen is so powerful because what you say, when we accept what you say, we can expect what you say. When we accept what you say, we can begin to act on what you said. When we accept, we are no longer ignorant, but we can take plays from the children of the age that we live in to understand that there's a wisdom there. They're operating in principles. They're getting results. But you've given the mandate to us to manifest. And when we are able to understand and identify and accept this mandate, we are able to become the express image of who you are. You are expressing yourself in and through your sons in this hour, because now is the hour of the mass exodus. Now is the hour that we're coming into the information and the knowledge and the revealed understanding of what you've spoken to us years ago. Now we're getting ready to walk it out, and you've taken us through this process to purge and to purify. Daniel said it this way. He said, some of the wise will fall, but it's for the hour that's later, so that they would be purged and purified for a time that is to come. You have purged us. You have purified us for this time. And we thank you and we give you glory for the thing that you have done. It is absolutely marvelous in our eyes. And we will not forget. We will remember, because it is a part of the mandate that you've given, that you've given instruction and direction. You've given us a name, and it's connected to your name, and we will not defame it. We will show forth the glory to your praise and to your honor. We thank you now, and we call it done. I love you guys. Blessings to the sons of Yah. Listen, the body is not a me thing. It's a we thing. Shalom, y'all.